speaking of stupid things, Kathy Griffin is still out there complaining and suggesting, Kathy Griffin is out there saying that she's been victimized by, Hollywood is very, very pro-Trump. You know this, right? You don't know this because it's not true? Oh, yeah. It turns out that she says she's not been able to get any work since holding up a severed head of President Trump, a mock-up of a severed head of President Trump. That has less to do with the fact that Hollywood likes Trump, because they don't, than the fact that Kathy Griffin is terrible at her job. But now she's making a living running around complaining about how everyone is mean to her. So here we go.
I think I should be able to get my life back. So I know I took a picture that offended a lot of people, but this wall of crap has never fallen on any woman in the history of America like it has on me. So, and by the way, I know about Eartha Kitt, and I very much encourage you to look her up. But even Eartha Kitt didn't have, like, Fox News.
She's the most victimized woman in American history. Do you see her hotel room? Like, no. She's not the most victimized woman in American history, okay? She's not even staying in a Motel 6. Like, every person who has stayed in a Motel 6 is more victimized than Kathy Griffin. She's the most victimized woman in American history. In American history, according to Kathy Griffin. No wall of crap has ever fallen on anyone more. Not even like the 5-year-old black girls who are attempting to go to school in an integrated school in Birmingham. Even those girls, the wall of crap never fell on anyone quite like it fell on Kathy Griffin. Just astonishing self-centeredness in our media. And guess what? This is what we'll go back to. Okay, the default here, this is what's so angering. The default here is not seriousness about serious topics. The default is Kathy Griffin and LeVar Ball. That's the default, and the media will go back there and we'll forget about all the sexual harassment stuff, I fear. You know why? Because there's no rooted morality in the United States that requires us to abide by moral rules. There is no rooted morality that says you as a human being are worth more than this, women and men, that you have a soul, you have an immortal soul, and you are required by God, by nature, you are required to treat other human beings with respect and decency because they are worthy of respect and decency. We are an entertainment culture that treats people as disposable commodities, and then we're shocked when people are treated as disposable commodities. We should be shocked because every so often we're shocked into an awake state. I have a feeling that we're going to fall back asleep again, which is really horrible. Fast forward 4 years. On Tuesday, TMZ posted photos of comedian Kathy Griffin, who has helped host CNN's New Year's Eve coverage for a decade, holding a mock-up of President's severed head covered in blood. Griffin has a long record of anti-Trump sentiment, of course. In February, she told MSNBC's Chris Matthews, quote, "I'm a big resistor, and I don't believe in compromise with this president. I also think he's crazy. I think he's mentally ill. He's also an idiot." But this photo shoot crossed a rather obvious line. It celebrated Trump's prospective murder. Imagine if anyone on the right had done something similar with Obama. The outcry would have been deafening. Yet, the same people who ask for trigger warnings for material that might offend anyone, the same people who believe there's a rape culture that pervades America, the same people who say President Trump has incentivized a culture of political violence across the land, many of them are silent about Griffin's antics. Why? Because political violence is no longer taboo in the U.S. It's just another tactic to utilize when useful and denigrate when others engaged in it. That sentiment expresses itself on both sides of the political aisle. When Montana House candidate Greg Gianforte allegedly body-slammed a reporter, prominent conservatives, including talk show host Laura Ingraham, demeaned his victim as a wuss and championed Gianforte as a sort of stalwart man's man. When leftists attacked Trump rallies during the 2016 election cycle, the media attempted to paint them as the defenders of the common good against Trump himself. The overused phrase cycle of violence is often used by the press to refer to situations in which an aggressor acts violently and somebody defends him. But we've entered an actual cycle in political violent rhetoric, whereby the vileness of the left provokes a direct response from the right and vice versa, and it's getting worse. If you spend all day proclaiming that you're in a civil war with other Americans, that you're part of a resistance, it's only a matter of time until you become willing to look the other way at violence itself. If Americans aren't your brothers and sisters, if we disagree, then they will quickly become your enemies. Kathy Griffin may think it's hilarious to hold up a bloody head of the President of the United States, but she's tearing away at the social fabric far more than President Trump is. And those who backed her play are helping provoke their enemies to respond in kind. So Kathy Griffin has been out of the news for a few months, ever since she did a photo shoot at which she held up the mock-up of a bloody decapitated head of President Trump. She hasn't been in the news, so she's decided it's time to get back in the news, this time by reneging on her apology, which just demonstrates why fake apologies are stupid in the first place. Here she is.
Are you no longer sorry for it?
Correct. I'm no longer sorry. The whole outrage was BS. The whole thing got so blown out of proportion, and I lost everybody. Like, I had Chelsea Clinton tweeting against me. I had friends Deborah Messing from Will and Grace tweeting against me. I mean, I lost everybody. And so I have been through the mill. And I also, you know, I didn't just lose like one night on CNN. My entire tour was canceled within 24 hours because every single theater got all these death threats. I mean, these Trump fans, they're hardcore. They have like robocalls, and they're a minority, but they know how to act like they're a majority.
Deborah Messing and Chelsea Clinton aren't Trump fans. Like, if even Democrats said it was out of line. I get that comedy is about pushing the boundaries and being politically incorrect, and that's fine. But do you not agree that that picture holding up a severed head, I know it's a mask covered in tomato sauce, but do you not accept that was a little bit over the line?
No, you're full of crap. Stop this. You know this. Stop acting like my little picture is more important than talking about the actual atrocities that the President of the United States is committing.
Okay, what atrocities involve the President of the United States holding up the bloodied, severed head of his political enemies? I'm missing that part. It is amazing. Look, she just wants attention. She wasn't able to get it with her original shtick in a way that she liked, so now she's walking it back, and she's willing. Here's the thing. She knows that a lot of the people on the left are going to quietly accept her back. That if she does this, she feels stronger, right? That it makes her stronger. That all these people are going to now walk back from their original anger at Kathy Griffin. They're going to say, well, she was misguided. She apologized in the first place, and people weren't willing to accept her apology. So screw it. She's on our side. You know that's the direction in which they're going to move pretty quickly here. That's the part that I hate. Kathy Griffin, I think, is completely irrelevant, but it does demonstrate that when people on the left decide that it is imperative to make headlines by ripping Trump and then apologize for it later, the apology is completely false. My personal favorite column is from a woman named Lindy West, who writes on feminism and popular culture, which already makes you want to run through a wall so hard that it leaves a U-shaped hole in the wall, like a cartoon. But here is what she says in the pages of the New York Times, and it's called Brave Enough to Be Angry. Really, this is what it's called, Brave Enough to Be Angry, which is like, I didn't realize it takes bravery to be pissed. I really didn't realize this. I like when you just take two emotions. How about angry enough to be brave? How about sad enough to be happy? Like, such nonsense. In any case, here's what the column says, and it's pretty amazing. It says, last month, an Access Hollywood correspondent asked the actress Uma Thurman to comment on abusive power in Hollywood, presumably in light of the sexual assault allegations against the producer Harvey Weinstein. Speaking slowly and deliberately, through gritted teeth, Thurman responded, quote, I don't have a tidy soundbite for you because I've learned I am not a child, and I've learned that when I've spoken in anger, I usually regret the way I express myself. So I've been waiting to feel less angry. When I'm ready, I'll say what I have to say. Thurman is seething, like we all have been seething, in our various states of breaking open, or, as Thurman chooses, waiting. We are seething at how long we've been ignored. Seething for the ones who were told long ago, who were punished long ago for telling the truth. Seething for being told all our lives we have no right to seethe. Has this woman ever met a woman? Has she met, like, a girl? Like, girls get angry. My wife gets mad. My mom gets mad. My sisters get mad. My 3-year-old daughter definitely gets mad. I was unaware that women are not allowed to be angry. Women are definitely not allowed to be angry. It doesn't mean that they're attractive when they're angry, because men aren't attractive when they're angry either. In fact, people generally are not particularly attractive when they're angry. But you're seething at how long you've been ignored? Lady, you're writing in the pages of the New York Times. Being ignored? Okay. So she continues along these lines. Thurman's rage is palpable yet contained, conveying not just the tempestuous depths of #MeToo. God, the writing is so bad. I don't know who edits over at the New York Times. They should be fired immediately. But a profound understanding of the ways that female anger is received and weaponized against women. And now she's going to go explain all the ways that women's anger is not taken seriously. But does she cite sexual assault or rape? Like women who have claimed they were raped or sexually assaulted and are angry about it and people told them to sit down and shut up? No, she doesn't cite any of that because that's never happened. Okay, no one says to women who say they were raped, why are you so mad? You mad, bro? No one says that to a woman who is raped. You can't name anyone who says that to a woman who is raped. So what are the examples of female anger we've been ignoring? Get ready for this. From Lindy West. Again, this is just indicative of the left's belief that anger is its own justification. Quote, in the past few months alone, we've seen Carmen Yulín Cruz, mayor of San Juan, Puerto Rico, pilloried by the far right for criticizing Donald Trump's anemic response to Hurricane Maria. We are dying here, Cruz told the news media. I am mad as hell. And the Florida Congresswoman, Frederica Wilson, deluged with abuse after she characterized Trump's call to a military widow, Maisha Johnson, as insensitive as an insult. Both Cruz and Wilson were directly targeted by the president on Twitter, then incessantly memed and regurgitated and redigested and re-memed by his obedient online horde. It's like the Huns out there. Okay, first of all, the cases she just cited are not cases of sexual assault or abuse. In one, the mayor of San Juan went out there and had shirts printed that said "We are dying" so she could go on national television and rip into Trump. No one would have paid attention to her otherwise. And Frederica Wilson went out there and talked out of school about a conversation that really was between a military widow and the president of the United States, and apparently, may have misinterpreted Trump's comments. So all of this is, we were saying, why are these women angry? Not because they were raped or sexually abused, but because they were getting political. We were more angry at what they were doing than their anger. Okay, but the examples continue. She gives the example of Julie Briskman, who's a government contractor who supposedly lost her job after a photo of her flipping off the presidential motorcade went viral. She wasn't fired because she flipped off the motorcade. She was fired because she made that her profile photo on Facebook and Twitter and works for a government contractor. That's why she was fired. Okay, and then here's some other examples of women who have been disrespected and their anger ignored. Again, this is just female identity politics at its best. That if women are angry, we don't have to ask why they're angry or if the anger is justified. We just have to get out of their way and honor their anger. I don't honor anyone's anger. Really, I don't think anger is something to be honored. Not to quote Clavin too much today, but Clavin used a phrase I really like. He says, anger is the devil's cocaine, and I think that's pretty much correct. Okay, here's what it actually, so here are the other examples of female anger that we have been ignoring. Solange. Yes, really, Solange Knowles. Okay, we weren't ignoring her anger. She was beating the crap out of Jay-Z in an elevator, right? I mean, that's what was happening there. Britney Spears. I don't recall when we were angry at her anger. I just remember her getting, like, wildly out of control and attempting to beat on a paparazzi. Shanae O'Connor, the Dixie Chicks, Rosie O'Donnell. What does any of this have to do with sexual assault or us disrespecting their anger? Okay, then it says, we don't even have to be angry to be called angry. Accusations of being an angry black woman chased Michelle Obama throughout her tenure at the White House. Well, I mean, to be fair, in 2008, she did say that she was not proud of the country until it nominated her husband. That seems kind of angry to me. And if you watched any of her speeches in 2008, they were kind of angry. Later, she became kind of a model first lady. But at the beginning, she had a very different persona. It was very much like Hillary Clinton in her early years in the White House, and then shifting in her later years to be sort of more soft and cuddly. And then she finishes, the decades-long smearing of Hillary Clinton as an unhinged shrew culminated 1 year ago when, despite maintaining a preternatural calm throughout the most brutal campaign in living memory, she lost the election to masculinity's apoplectic id. Okay, so the smearing of Hillary Clinton as an unhinged shrew is not really a smearing. She's an unhinged shrew. Okay, like there have been actual reports of Hillary Clinton throwing lamps at her husband. Okay, Hillary Clinton apparently was not nice to Secret Service members. Hillary Clinton went out and complained about a vast right-wing conspiracy when her husband committed perjury while sexually harassing the help. Hillary Clinton, in this campaign, there's tape of her shouting into camera, "Why am I not up by 50 points?" We all remember when she did a speech calling half the population deplorables. Okay, Hillary Clinton is not a model of preternatural calm. You have to be crazy to think this. And then she says, this is my favorite line, like every other feminist with a public platform, I am perpetually cast as a disapproving scold. But what's the alternative? To approve? I do not approve. Right, because you're a disapproving scold. I mean, isn't that the definition? You're scolding me and you're disapproving. Like, what am I missing here? And then she says, not only are women expected to weather sexual violence, intimate partner violence, workplace discrimination, institutional subordination, the expectation of free domestic labor, the blame for our own victimization, and all the subtler, invisible cuts that undermine us daily, we are not even allowed to be angry about it. Close your eyes and think of America. Right? It's like America raping you, right? So Lindy West, again, this is endemic to the feminist left, this belief that anger is the driving force and they have a reason to be angry. She says that women are expected to weather sexual violence. Who expects women to weather sexual violence? Like, really, who is it that says, yeah, women are getting raped, big deal? The only person I can think of is somebody like maybe Gay Talese, the columnist who came out in defense of Kevin Spacey. But who is saying that intimate partner violence is okay? Or workplace discrimination? The expectation of free domestic labor, I don't even know what that means. Like, I expect my wife to actually help with the chores. I help with the chores too. Like, this is part of being an adult. Like, I understand Lindy West doesn't want to wash her underwear, but tough. Like, it's just insane. And finally, she says, we are expected to agree and we comply with the paternal admonition that it is irresponsible and hyper-emotional to request one female president after two